fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Welcome, fellow booty hunters. Today, talking about an update, and yes, I did intentionally wait or put out my, grading video early so that this wouldn't, in my opinion, kind of like fluff the results, spoil them a little bit, because today is what you've finally been asking for. Today is actually a day where we can prove that feedback does result into active change, and that we have finally gotten fixes and additions to the Eclipse system. And this is all coming from, for those who haven't really followed, I did a video on this, a week or so ago, that we now have a weekly Apex event. Every Thursday, you will be doing Eclipse stuff, which means, hey, we needed to run armadas, we needed to do hostiles, and there was a problem because we were bottlenecked all in a singular system. And when we were getting sit down with this a few weeks ago, content creators, moderators, etc., and we were giving their feedback. And by the way, this is why it's so important to like and subscribe to the channel, because this only happens because of y'all. So when we were going through this, we were able to talk to them and say, hey, here's what's going to be an immediate problem. And they said, okay, we'll look at this, but we can't do this immediately. Like, right, we're going, we should probably release Apex, and we work on that and see if it's a possibility. So we all pressed in feedback that you got to add more systems. And honestly, before I can like sit here and try to take credit, just to be honest with y'all, because booty hunters are honest, get it in the merch store. If you haven't already, pick you up one. But I said that they should turn these 3 systems and just copy and paste Lindstrom into these. Like, sure, just do that. Just take Lindstrom and put them into these systems that nobody uses. And they didn't do that, but they did do something similar where they simply added 3 here. So if y'all haven't seen it this morning, if you go over to StarTrekFleetCommand.com, yes, there is a website, and they do post there sometimes. So StarTrekFleetCommand.com, you have a very quick little patch note, and the patch is actually very small. I think it was like 20 megabytes on my PC client, so very small update, but you can see it right here. This is basically just covering a few different bug fixes, not really anything wild. We see fix an issue where the pip on the gifts tab would give the incorrect amount of claims available. That actually did annoy me, and more than I probably would have liked to admit, but it did. Fix an issue where ship names will sometimes cover a station's level after being scanned. Small, but whatever. Fix an issue where the pip would sometimes not appear on the resources tab. Again, probably whatever. And then fix an issue where Dutch translations where some characters would appear as boxes. Apparently the game did not speak Dutch very well, but the improvement section is where you're really looking for, and they actually list this twice, but made an improvement to rogue space by adding 3 new 40+ rogue systems, made an improvement to Joy LaForge, and 511's descriptions to specify the loot that your ship receives is increased. I'll show you what that means in just a second. And then made an improvement to Eclipse systems by adding 3 additional ones, which is the exact same thing we just said, but we say it again, I guess, to really reinforce the point. But doesn't matter. What does matter is that they did in fact do just that. They took it and updated it, and now we have this getting an update. This is the old version of 5 of 11. I want to show this to you first. So this is the old version of 511. See how it reads right here. 511 increases the shield deflection, armor, and dodge by 200% of the total health of all officers, but then the ability down here increases the amount of resources dropped from hostiles by 20%. So the update, just to cover it real quick, you see what it reads here. I want to show you what 5 of 11 reads now, because there is a slight change, and then we'll hit the Eclipse. But the slight change is mostly just to help clarify to players, because I know some people are worried about she got nerfed. She didn't get nerfed or anything. All that they did was simply redesign how it reads. Now it reads 511 increase the amount of resources your ship receives. So basically, it was to help with any confusion that maybe people thought, well, bringing 6 5 of 11s to an armada just makes all the loot better. No, it specifically makes your ship receive more loot, but she doesn't work any differently now. And in fact, I've actually been running her all morning because we've been doing, well, all morning. We've been running these this morning because we've been doing the exchange hostiles in the new systems, by the way, just to verify that they're working correctly. And thankfully, they are. So let's take a look real quick. Inside these new systems, you're going to find, well, armadas, exactly as you would expect. We are currently running through the epics really quickly because they do still have respawn timers, but everything's been working correctly that we have tested out. So the hostiles are respawning as they should. We're running through multiple armadas, and so far the process has been a pretty seamless one. It basically just feels like they took the the Lindstrom system and copy and pasted, or maybe it was Penumbra. I mean, whichever one they did, they took a 40 and copy and pasted it. So if we go into here, we're going to see that Epic is a 40, 45. Yeah. So we've got both actually 45s in here and 40s. So the big ones and the, oof. All right, we'll see if my Stella survives. But anyway, point I'm trying to make is we got an update based on feedback, and that is what we're looking for. You know, I think that's an important change to the game. We needed these extra systems to come in, as well as the extra hostiles. Now, there are other things that I'm asking for in feedback. Like, for example, this has a 7-day cooldown. The research medals, I'm currently pushing them to lower that because I think that's a little silly. And also working on trying to get the price lowered for assimilated Stella. I think that is also a little silly. But all these things that can be done in time. The important thing is I try to keep reiterating to everybody is that right now we're going through a period where Scopely is updating older content. It's actually kind of been the theme to this year. Hard to notice, I know, because the game is always tending to focus on new content. And even when they provided a lot of, revamps, it's been in a form of new. For example, the Borg have all been updated, right? The X-Borg faction came in. You got an updated version of the Vidar. You have new Borg hostiles. All this has been revamping and updating Borg as a whole, which is good. At the same time, you need to revisit other content as well. Apex is getting looked at. I've already told y'all Swarm Sundays being looked at. Crucible of War is being looked at. All of these are being considered and worked on in terms of getting updated. Now, when those updates roll out, well, you just have to wait and see. But today does show that feedback is being listened to, as hard as that can feel sometimes. And again, I purposely chose to go ahead and release my grading video a day before this because I wanted y'all to give your honest thoughts on the month as it was. And this is the type of thing that should make players very happy. And I do think that Scopely deserves applause for that. Like, I'm not trying to take away their laurels, but it also can't override what we just had this past month. If you viewed it as negative or positive, this shouldn't sway that at all. But it is a great addition, and it's a good thing that the game has needed for a long time to update certain aspects. And finally, Eclipse is getting an aspect. And aren't you glad that they added new hostiles and added new armadas without making you go through a whole brand new Stella loop? No Stella A here. No level, tier 12 Stella scrapping. Actually does make me very, very happy. They just straight up improved it, and now we can focus on other aspects to the game because there's already so many things in the game. While I don't say that as a negative, at the same time, we're still working on things to get better. And that means I am still pushing for things like in the daily goals to be better. Like, hey, Faction Allegiance, you need to count when we're doing our freebooters for those level 38 plus players. Hostile Harbinger, you need to count when we're doing our freebooters for level 38 plus players. So all of this aside though, I think generally speaking, the game is definitely moving in a good direction this year. Generally for updating old content, definitely things that we want to be better. Quality, the QA being good coming out of the gate, sure, all these things. But I do want to say a big thank you for getting this in. And I think that everybody's Thursdays are going to be a little bit more fun, active, and easier to complete with less problems thanks to these additional systems. You now have 5 systems. I mean, you've more than doubled. So 5 systems to handle all this in, and hopefully this helps you out. And if it does, as always, I ask you to support the channel. You can support the channel by simply commenting on it and liking it and subscribing and passing this around to your fellow Star Trek fleet commanders so they can know all the things going on. And if you really want to help out the channel, check out our link in the description below, but pick you up some merch, right? Our Booty Hunter merch is now available. If you are a big OPC hunting pirate in the game, check it out. If you ever wanted me to twerk on your shirt, well, you can do just that, or just get the shield to share stuff. All your support helps. You're amazing, and hopefully this game gets better for you every day we play it. Live long and prosper. Stay safe for the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next one, which is, well, very, very soon. So yeah, I'm rolling out. Bye.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.